Hi, and welcome to Canine Overland Podcast, the podcast all about adventuring with your doggos and overlanding. I'm Johnny, known as Canine Overland on Instagram.
And I'm Kat, known as the Canine Explorers on Instagram.
And this is episode number 4. Hello guys, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around. We do apologize for making some of you cry on our last episode.
That was not planned at all.
I didn't expect to cry. It was a touchy subject for sure.
I think we cried. I think you cried the most because we don't really talk about stuff like that. We're not really emotional, talk about our feelings type people. Like people who know us, we're not lovey-dovey. We don't hold hands out in public. We don't give kissy kisses and like all that stuff. So when it comes down to our emotions, I feel like when we actually get serious and tap into our emotions like that, it just comes like a waterfall. Like you can't stop a tidal wave. It just comes. So yeah, sorry guys.
It's cool though. I don't usually express myself a lot with a lot of people, so I usually keep it to myself.
But it's nice to talk about Yuki too because she was such a good dog, and like we don't talk about her. None of our friends really knew her. Our friends now don't know her, and yeah, even though she was part of our life for less than 2 years, like she made a huge impact. So she's definitely part of our life and part of us forever. So we had to talk about it. But anyway, this episode is going to be about overlanding. Everyone has been waiting forever.
Yay!
Everyone's been asking, like, when are you going to get into the topic of overlanding and adventuring? Like, enough about you guys. Like, they want to know everything about overlanding. So this past weekend, what did we do?
Well, we've been looking for cars for quite some time now because I feel like we need a second rig for things that we're getting into. We were looking at Land Cruisers, which was... Forerunners was one of them.
At one point I wanted a taco.
Yeah.
Then I jumped back and forth between a taco and a van.
And the van wasn't going to be doable for what you wanted to do.
No, so basically from the Camry, we wanted to upgrade because I can't fit more than 8 dogs, adult large dogs in that Camry comfortably. Even though like pack walking with my pack has been doable because like the pack mentality is just tight like that. They were fine like cramming into the Camry, but it literally looked like a clown car. And we have one client, she's a Great Dane, so when I get her signed on certain days, like I have to maneuver my day around and change up some appointments just to fit her in because she won't fit in the Camry. She takes up the whole back seat. So if she's on a certain day, then I have to pick up all the other dogs first, go to her house, and then she doesn't get to ride in the car. We just pack walk in her neighborhood because she can't fit in the car. So yeah, I've been back and forth with the idea of getting a truck, maybe with a trunk bed shell thingy, so we can fit more dogs, or a van or something. But then, like if I got a van, I can't go overlanding with a van. I have to do a lot of upgrades. So we were talking back and forth on what would be the perfect vehicle for my business and for my lifestyle. And ultimately, we were looking at a few different cars. We got to see a couple forerunners up close and personal, got to test drive a couple.
But it wasn't going to be a good buy because I guess this year the prices has gone up on all these forerunners and trucks. And because of COVID, we got to pay overlanding tax just to get ourselves into another vehicle. So we figured that it wasn't ideal for her to get a forerunner at that price.
Yeah, it was too expensive. And when we were going to sell my Camry, originally we wanted to sell privately so we can get our like the most bang for our buck kind of thing. But that's going to take time. And I did have some cosmetic damages on that car because I'm not the best driver in the world. So, I mean, like, yeah, there was paint scratches and a little bit of rust here and there. So we took it into CarMax and got a quote, and we also got a couple different quotes from different companies to see how much my car was worth as is. Like, we didn't do anything extra to it. And we ended up getting an X amount of dollars. And so we're like, okay, with this X amount of dollars, how much cash do we have on hand to purchase another vehicle? So that had a lot to do with what we were going to get too. So if we were to upgrade to a van brand new was like minimum $30K out the door.
Yeah, it was, I think brand new was 24. And then
Not the van that I wanted though.
Yeah, it wasn't. So we wouldn't want to pay 30 for.
But then we went to one dealership and they only had one van on the lot, and that was $30K out the door.
Yeah, he said they were hard to come by, so he would have to ship it from another dealership to.
Everybody started their side gigs because of COVID. All their car detailing side gigs. So all the vans were all bought. So yeah, we ended up waiting. I'm glad we didn't jump the gun too fast and dip into different loans and stuff. So yeah, I wanted to upgrade my vehicle to something bigger that can accommodate a little bit of extra room for the dogs. I didn't want the dogs to basically dog pile in the car because one, it's not safe. Two, some of the dogs that I do have require a little bit of extra space. They don't like being touched all the time or bumped all the time, and that can lead to fights. Luckily, we haven't had a fight seriously in the car because that could cause an accident while I'm driving because I wouldn't be able to turn around and stop them. So yeah, we weren't in a rush, but at the same time, like we needed a bigger car, especially for what I was doing with my business and my work. And luckily, one of our best friends had a cousin that was selling his, and it just kind of worked out. We were looking and looking, but we were waiting and waiting, and then this was just kind of a sign. Get this car.
And we would rather buy it from someone that we know and trusted than like a total stranger. The car is in super good condition. Rides great. Everything's been changed on it, including the radiator, the timing belt, tie rods, suspension components. The AHC, which is the auto height control fluids, has been flushed. For these cars with these high mileage, these are the type of maintenance that needs to be done. And we've been looking around for the same
any car
LX,
though.
And a lot of them were going for the same price or more, but haven't had those maintenance done to it.
So basically, we ended up not getting a forerunner. We got an LX 470 Lexus. Johnny says it's a Toyota Land Cruiser 100 series, whatever that means. But basically, for me as not a car person, like all I was looking for was just a bigger vehicle. It could have been anything, any make, any model, whatever. And I basically just told Johnny, like, hey, can you help me find a vehicle that can get me off-roading with the dogs? Let me drive to work every day, picking up dogs, pack walking, and that's it. I don't need no high maintenance, like fancy overland vehicle, but I mean, hey, an LX 470 looks pretty cool on the road. But the first time I sat in it, it was humongous compared to the Camry. Like, there's so much room in there, and like we put our 4 dogs back there, and there's so much space. Like, all of them laid down, and they had their own spot. Like, they were so happy in there. So I think we made a good decision.
It was definitely a great decision. Since the Jeep is about, I would say, 60% complete. I mean, it's never complete. What are your plans with the Land Cruiser?
What are my plans? My plan is to have you just work on it. So I'm like the girliest girl, like super sheltered person growing up. Like, I was never introduced to cars the way you were. Like, you were into cars like since high school with all your friends and stuff. Like, typically, you know, a guy would know more about cars than a girl. Like, that's just how it goes. I mean, I look up to all the females out there that know car stuff because I was like, all this car lingo just blows right over. Like, I don't understand any of that stuff, but I'm learning. I'm open to learning new things. Sitting passenger with Johnny the past couple of years, overlanding, like I picked up a few things, maybe not as quick or as fast because I don't understand it, but I mean, I know more than I did before. So hopefully, continuing on, you building out this vehicle for me, I can stand right by you and just watch what you're doing and hopefully learn a little bit more. So when I do take the vehicle out on my own, I know how to fix things. I don't know. I'm honestly, like, it's so like nerve wracking and overwhelming because I'm so scared to, like, if I do go solo and something happens, like, no one's gonna be there for me to, like, get me out of a situation. But I mean, I feel confident enough that I can actually at least drive with you or with someone else or a friend and maybe do just like easy stuff on my own, places I've been before. So I know that I for sure won't get stuck. But if something were to break, I'll be at least close by to familiar area so I can GPS my coordinates to someone and have someone come rescue me. So originally the plan is to build out the vehicle to have enough room to fit the dogs. So with the Jeep, we went through several different ways of building it out until we finally found a system that works.
Yeah,
ish.
A lot of trial and error.
Yeah, so why don't you explain what the Jeep build is, and then and then I can go into my ideas for.
So in the Jeep, we had our seats folded down with boxes and our cooler full of food. So every time we roll up to base camp, we would have to unload all of our containers that carried our tent, our sleeping bags, our blankets, dog food, or even all of our dry goods out of the Jeep just so we can sleep inside it.
Yeah, until we got a roof rack, and then the boxes went on the roof rack, and then we had an empty cabin for the dogs to have all the room. But then going into base camp, we have to take the boxes from the top down, and that was freaking Mr. Armstrong guy taking it down from the top of the Jeep, because after that, like, it was doable when we didn't have the lift. And then got tires, lift, roof racks, so all our gear was on top. And then you had to take everything down just to build camp.
Yeah,
that was not working.
Yeah, it was annoying because the boxes wasn't like fixed to the rack. It was just ratchet strapped to the rack. So I had to undo the ratchet strap. When we went to go load up the boxes, I got to ratchet strap everything back onto the rack. And I think setting up and breaking down camp took us about
30 minutes at least.
At least, or more. I thought
more.
Sometimes it's more when it's like cold and raining or snowing.
Yeah, you don't want to be out there setting up camp. Yeah. You don't want to break down camp and then set up camp in, crazy weather. You want something fast and quick and easy. So what did we end up doing? We got a couple of different ground tents to experiment with to see, like, the setup, how fast or how slow we can get it set up. I was still sleeping in the Jeep while you were ground tenting.
Yeah, because I was still using my tent that I had from backpacking, which was like very lightweight and fast to set up. And that's been working for us for about a couple of years.
Yeah, it lasted a while. And it's only a 2-person tent, so it's kind of tight with 2 human bodies and then our 4 dogs. So I wanted to sleep in the Jeep.
And then from there, we started to build a sleeping platform because we kind of needed more room for our gear. So with the boxes on top of the rack, we built a platform with 2 sliding drawers on the bottom, and we store all of our base camp stuff inside those drawer system. And Kat still slept inside the rig, but with the platform, it didn't give you enough headroom to sit up or do anything, right?
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I could have just. There was 2 positions I could have done: lay on my back or lay on my stomach. That's it.
That's not comfortable.
And then the dogs were sitting up high too. They were already, like, they were touching the roof and had the windows like rolled down accidentally because they stepped on it. They would have literally fallen out, and that's not okay. So we turned off. We locked the back windows, but then we decided to change up our system back there. You MacGyvered your own drawer system.
Yeah, so the system that I have now can fit a refrigerator, which what we have now in the back. 3 big ass drawers for tools, dry goods, and dog stuff. And somewhat of
box.
one box on top.
We kept one box on top, but that box is a different box. It's not the ratchet strappy stuff that you had to do.
So this box has been bolted on to the rack, so it's not coming off. So I don't have to spend time taking off straps and putting straps back on when we're actually ready to leave.
Yeah, and it's a heavy duty box. It's one of those thick boxes.
Yeah.
That can withstand wind and weather. The other boxes we had were thin and flimsy, and in the sun, I feel like it would crack.
Not only that, but the old box that we had, every time I open up the cap when we get to base camp, I find dirt on all of our gear.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't weatherproof, basically.
No.
Like the new ones that we have now, you know, everything stayed dried, has venting holes, which is awesome. So base camp to set up with this new setup that we have takes us about 15 minutes or less.
Less if I'm actively helping you.
Yeah, if you're actively helping me and stuff like that, it takes 15 minutes. That actually includes setting up the awning too.
Mm-hmm.
Awnings, the lights, you know, tables, chairs, tent.
Yeah, taking out everything. And so usually when we go camping, Johnny does camp setup while I take care of the dogs. So first thing I do would, you know, let the dogs out, potty, walk them, make sure they get water, because usually when we get to base camp, like it's a long drive, so they're going to need water and a potty break. And having 4 dogs, sometimes that takes the whole time. So I can't help set up camp for you. And then when you do it, like usually we end at the same time. Like if I finish early, then I help you set up camp. Like I help you with the awning, or I help you take out the chairs and table. But recently you got into an accident at work and it left you with one arm. Like one arm was in a sling, so I had to teach myself how to set up camp, which was good because I learned being hands-on more than, you know, and then watching you set up camp. Like I can't just rely on you only, because what if I want to go camping by myself sometimes, or what if I want to go camping with my friends without you? Like I have to know all that. So it was actually a good learning experience for me to know hands-on how long it takes to set up a tent, set up chairs, do all that, and then you watch the dogs. But I mean, watching the dogs for you with one arm is not that bad, because you could just follow them and pick up poop with one arm.
And then I think what makes it very helpful and quick to set up base camp is that we know where everything is at. So every item that we have for base camp has a home.
Yeah, organized. Our drawer is a little bit of a mess, but it's kind of like an organized, chaotic mess, because we know which pouch has what. Everything goes exactly where it goes. So when we clean up, they go back to where it stays, so then we can grab it easily from next time. So if this is your first time camping, like the biggest tip I could ever say to anyone brand new to camping or anything is to be organized. Because if you're not organized, and let's say you're in a situation where you need something real fast, you can't get to it because you accidentally packed it on the bottom of other stuff, like you're shit out of luck, you know? So yeah, I mean, organization is probably like going to be your best friend in everything.
Everything needs to have a home. Even our first aid kit and our fire extinguisher has its home. Like right now, I have one.
And it's easy access where it is.
Easy access. I have one underneath the driver's seat, which I will install another one in your rig. And then I have a second one.
I don't have one yet.
Yeah, and I have a second one in the back of the drawer system. So just in case if we're cooking back there, or let's say we need one for, you know, starting a fire and something got out of hand, we have one easy accessible. The same goes with first aid kit. Okay, the trauma kit is behind my headrest.
Strapped on a Velcro thing.
Strapped on a Velcro on one of our Wrangler nets that's used as a barrier to keep the dogs in the back of the Jeep.
The trauma kit. Because the trauma kit you want quick and fast to stop any bleeding or whatever. But our first aid kit is in a little pouch in your door pocket. And then we have extra first aid kit in our drawer system. But that stuff is for stuff that time constraint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the stuff that you want quick grab should be the stuff that you need in an emergency, when you need stuff real fast, like the trauma kit. And then obviously some water, fire extinguisher.
So after you've seen how our system work and everything, did you get any ideas for your new car?
Yeah, so we've been watching a bunch of YouTube videos too on how like other people build out their stuff. So with the new car now, because I want it for the dogs. I don't want a drawer system like what you have, because it takes up the whole back half from floor to ceiling, and I basically I don't need any of that stuff, because I'm not going to go on hardcore stuff, and if I did, you would go with me, so we would have all that stuff in your vehicle. So for me, I think just maybe a platform drawer system thing. I don't know how else to describe it. That to me is that a platform with 2 drawers on the bottom.
So basically, you're saying you want 2 drawers on top of, with the platform on top, that you can actually fold out over the rear seats that's folded down to make a sleeping platform.
The LX470 has the front seats, driver's seat, passenger seat, right? And then it has the back seats, which is a normal SUV back seat. But then this one, because it's a bigger car, it has the 3rd row seats, which is these tiny little like seat things that fold up. We took that out because I don't need that many seats. We took those out, and then the middle seats I'm planning on just keeping, just in case we do have passengers that want to go camping with us. We have extra seats, so that folds, but then that also props up behind the front seats, and it folds up vertically. So then the back has more room. So I'm thinking building a platform up into that space, and then the drawer system, and then I don't know, maybe have the drawer system end where the seats end. So if I do have to fold it back up, I can take the top platform piece off and fold the chairs out, and I still have the drawer system in there, or take out the drawer system and then use the seats. See, I haven't really thought about it. I just want to make sure that I have enough room for the dogs.
I can make that happen.
MacGyver? You
MacGyver, yeah.
A platform for me?
I mean, if it breaks apart, it's not my fault.
I mean, does that make sense? Like, so the drawer system is going to be at least a foot high, right? Like, it's going to be a few inches high.
So what about cosmetic-wise? What would you like your rig to look like?
I mean, from our first rig ever, we had that really cool wrap, but it was so expensive. So I don't know if I want any wrap on this car. I mean, the color of this car now is grayish blue. Like, when it's gloomy, it's gray. But in the sun, it has like a blue gray tint, which I think is really pretty. Maybe some decals, just basic decals, just to put my Instagram name on there. So when people see me driving, they know it's me. And then maybe like a little information about my dog, my pack adventures and my dog walking services on the back window. That might work. But roof rack, obviously, for storage, and then lights. I don't know a thing or two about lights. All I know is that you need better lights than the headlights, so you can see at night when you're driving. Maybe a bumper eventually down the road, because I'm terrible at driving and I'm gonna need it for protection.
Bumpers and sliders for sure.
Sliders, yeah, just in case I pick the wrong line and I end up on a boulder. The bumper would come with the skid plate, no? Or
no, they're
maybe
separate.
an add-on. Skid plate, maybe. I don't know. But so far, we went on Holcomb Valley, and I mean, it's super easy, and I felt comfortable going over those. So I don't plan on going on any like hardcore trails.
Well, that's what we got the Jeep for. I mean, we can park your car at base camp and take the Jeep. We'll
see. Maybe down the road I want to upgrade it a little bit more. But for now, the first thing is to get tires, obviously, for off-roading. You can only do so much with street tires, and maybe a little extra lighting. We already got our roof rack, so that's going to go on soon, and then just build out the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And then the basic, super simple, super clean, basic. Yeah, nothing too fancy, and then see how it goes from there. Maybe I want to add an awning too. I don't know. I might not need an awning because we have yours. I can deal without an awning.
You'll be ready for your trip solo.
Yeah.
One of these soon enough.
I mean, I could always just go to really easy places solo. Places we've frequented a lot, like Mill Creek. It's close too, just in case I die, I can walk out. I can easily hike out.
Well, you have a satellite phone we can use to call for help.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, that, yeah, starting something new is going to be nerve-wracking. It causes me anxiety because I'm the type of person that always thinks of a million bad scenarios before I can think of a good one. And then normally when we go through these scenarios, like, it's never half as bad as I think it's going to be. Like, I just psych myself out all the time because I'd rather be prepared than not, and then have to go through a situation and not know what to do. So, I mean, I'm glad I'm starting this now than in the beginning when we didn't know anything, because then I would probably quit. Like, when something gets too hard and I can't figure it out, then I go on to the next project. But because we slowly, started this together, and then you did most of it, and then I'm just like on the sidelines watching, and then like I gained information slowly, like at a good pace. I'm more comfortable doing it, and taking the Camry out when we went to Big Sur, that was a huge learning experience for me, because I didn't know I can do that with the Camry, first of all, and then yeah, like it gave me a little bit more self-confidence that yeah, I can drive. And I didn't break my Camry. So I still think I'm in the beginner stage of overlanding, just because I started out as a passenger. But now that I'm going to be on my own, not on my own, like full on, but I'm going to be having my own vehicle and doing stuff by myself, with Johnny to be there to help me and teach me. So I'll be learning basically everything from the start as a newcomer to the overlanding thing. So what are some things that you can tell me, and maybe tell a lot of our listeners that are brand new to overlanding, like how to get started?
Well, it all depends on what type of car you drive, whether it's a rear wheel drive, all wheel drive, 4x4.
Sedan
or a van, it really doesn't matter. Always research the places that you want to visit. For example, if you want to hit up like an area called, Holcomb Valley that we just talked about earlier, that Kat says was easy for her to drive on, research the area, find what type of area it is. Usually we like to camp at BLM. If there's developed campground, usually a lot of developed campgrounds will have like an easy road, paved road mostly, with bathrooms and stuff like that. It will be super easy to get to in like a car that doesn't have four-wheel drive.
There are some campgrounds though, like developed campgrounds, that actually require 4x4. So when you're searching for camp spots, like BLM is Bureau of Land Management, that's basically public lands. So yes, you can. So yes, you can camp anywhere that is BLM land, but technically you should only camp in spots that were already
established and been camped at.
Yeah, that's the word. Established. So don't go and build a new camp spot. Like, you have to go around and find a spot that has already been used for camping, because if you start going off road and establishing new campgrounds and new camp spots on like fresh, what is it called?
So basically what Kat's trying to say.
No, what is it called when they close off this area? They say closed off for restoration. Right. So there's places that they will gate off to close off for restoration. That's just to give nature a break, because when you drive on all this fresh dirt and land, like it kills plant life. And if plant life can't grow, animals can't come, and there won't be anything left, and it'll just be a pile of dirt. And we want to keep all these public lands, all our nature the way nature intended, which is to grow and to give life and all that.
And we want to keep these areas open still to the public,
right,
or they'll close it down. This is where the term tread lightly comes. And also leave no trace. So if you do have to make a fire pit or something,
break down that, and then kind of dust away the ashes so that it looks like no one was there. But to continue on with BLM, like BLM is public lands that you don't have to pay for camping, so it's technically free camping, and you can easily search that on like the BLM website and research like other places that show all that information. If you search for developed campgrounds, there might be like a camp fee to camp overnight. So these areas are going to be a little bit more maintained, and then it might have some facilities, amenities that BLM land is not. So BLM land dispersed camping is literally nothing. You bring overlanding is you rely on yourself. So that's why overlanding, like you go to BLM camp to just rely on what resources you bring with you. There's nothing out there. Like no toilets, no water. Sometimes there's only water if you go to a water source like a river or a lake. But at developed campgrounds, sometimes there's vault toilets, trash cans,
pit toilets,
sometimes showers, coin showers, developed campgrounds. So yeah, there's different levels of camping. You kind of just have to decide like what type of camping you want to do, and then kind of gauge like what kind of vehicle you drive, how far can you go with that, what type of roads you can go on with that. So there's different places out there that you can just take almost any car, and then there's places where only 4x4 cars can go.
Yeah, you just got to do your research. Usually I go on like the National Forest website and find out all of my details on there. Or another app that I usually use to find campgrounds or camp spots is Campendium is one. Or I usually use just Gaia, and I just find my own roads. But, for people who don't have, let's say, a four-wheel drive car that wants to do, like, easy drive-up camp, these places are usually listed on the map on Google, or Google Maps, I should say.
Or you can ask around.
Or
ask your friends.
Yeah.
A friend might know a friend, or, go on Facebook and just add into all these groups. There's always going to be people willing to share information, and then there's people who gatekeep and don't want to share information. We're kind of in the middle. We're not gatekeeping, but we don't like to share our favorite places like out in the open in public because we don't trust everybody. Like it's a human thing, like there's irresponsible people out there, and it kind of sucks that there's these kind of people out there, but it's just because they're not knowledgeable in how to do these things. So when COVID broke, like all our favorite places that we used to go to kind of got overcrowded with so many people because the overlanding community just kind of grew because COVID, everyone was out of work and they wanted to find something to do. And then once we got the okay to actually go outside, like people started to camp more, buy vehicles to go overlanding, but they did it so quick and so fast that they didn't stop to, learn what are the responsibilities that come with it. I remember we went to Alabama Hills and all our favorite places were trashed. And then one trail that we used to go down was closed because someone or someones, I don't know, like drove off trail. We saw tire tracks and like the little plant stuff was like all broken, and they had to close it off because people were it was so overcrowded that people made their own like trail and camp off trail, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, BLM management, like there's still people working for public lands that go around and put signs up, and we even saw some signs got ran over, like it was bent. Yeah, that was a bad experience. I never saw Alabama Hills that bad. And it's a gorgeous area. I just feel like because it's so popular, that's where everyone went first.
Those are the areas that I don't mind sharing on my social media because it's so easily searchable on Google. You can just type in Lone Pine and, camping,
yeah, that's the
camping
first
in
thing
Lone
that
Pine.
comes
That's
up.
the first thing that will come up in Google. So I don't mind sharing those type of places, but
maybe not our specific campsite.
Yeah.
But there's different camp spots at Alabama Hills, leveling from beginner level, like just quick drive up you can do with the Prius to you need a 4x4 where you have to go through gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Which is like gatekeeper is like a rocky area where not a lot of cars can pass through, so it gatekeeps the easy cars out. Let's take this moment to take a break, kind of catch our breath a little bit, get some water, and then we'll come right back. Thank you for tuning in on our current episode. We are taking a break right now to introduce to you our subscription page, aka send us a coffee, show us a love and support. So it's ko-fi.com /Canine Overland. There you can send us a little donation to buy coffee, or you can sign up for a subscription. We have 2 tiers going on. Our first tier is $5, where you can get exclusive content and ability to just send us a message anytime, and we can converse on whatever it is you want to converse about. The second tier is $10, and with that you can get all of that plus our coordinates to all of our trips, detailed blogs about every single trip we take, exclusive video and content, and anything else we decide to share with our community. Otherwise, feel free to enjoy our episodes and continue to follow us on our social medias, and we share a little bit of our content there. But either way, we still love you guys, and back to our episode. And we're back. So yeah, about Alabama Hills. Yeah, places like that we don't mind sharing because it's popular. That's cool, whatever. But there are places, really cool places that people might not hear about. And usually how we find places is we actually just drive to wherever we want to visit. Like, for example, Sequoia National Park, right? Like the sequoias. Okay, so there's different sections you can explore. We basically just go off of Google Maps. We have one destination, right? Sequoia. And then what do we do? Like basically just throw it in Google?
Yeah. So what I do is I throw it in Google, and then on the highway traveling there, if I see there's a dirt road on my Gaia map, we'll take it. Because usually if I see a dirt road that connects from one highway to another section of the highway, and it looks doable,
we'll get off the freeway and take that.
Yeah, we'll get off the freeway and just freaking go. Along the way, if we do find spots that seems like it's a doable camp spot, we'll mark it on the map for next time. So we always have like different spots marked here and there on our Gaia map to explore in the future.
Yeah, so Gaia map is kind of like a fancy duty Google Maps, but catered to roads. Right? Like it has hiking trails that's marked on there.
Oh, yeah, it has everything.
Dirt roads, the highways, blah, blah, blah. So you can actually physically go into your Gaia map, pin it, and say camp, blah, 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 and then save it for later. I mean, you can do that on Google Maps too, but Google Maps is kind of like, there's so much stuff on it. I can't find anything.
But what's cool with Gaia is that if you pay a subscription for it, you can actually add layers to your map. So those layers that you can add are usually like public lands. So you can see if one of the section that you're in is privately owned, or is it BLM, or is it a national forest or a state. It shows it in different colors.
It shows the border.
Another cool layer is the topography.
Topography, you mean?
Yeah, whatever. It's hard to pronounce, okay? It actually shows you the elevation that you're in. So that's actually really, really helpful in where we're camping. Higher elevation usually means that we are exposed to wind. There's barely any trees. And
it's a good indicator, too, to kind of know what kind of vehicle you might need. Like, obviously, higher in the mountains, you're going to need something that can climb. Because when there's elevation, there's going to be steep hills. When there's hills, there's going to be rocks. And switchbacks and whatever. So, yeah, you don't want an oversized vehicle. You don't want to bring a Prius up there. Priuses usually stay on the flatter lands or like the lower levels of the mountains, unless it's a road that go up a mountain and then there's a small fire road up there, then that's fine too. But like the topography map is a good indicator of just showing you how steep a road can get. Because if you see a big gap or a little gap between the lines, that shows you.
Yeah, and there's also like satellite images on there that shows you which area has trees that you can camp in, which I use.
I mean, Google kind of has that too, but Google is very limited. It's the basic of the basic.
Yeah.
So we use both of those maps interchangeably, actually, because I don't have Guy on my phone, but we would research the same area, and I would go into my Google Map satellite, and then I would zoom in and look at different places. We went to Carrizo Plains one time.
Chorizo Plains?
Chorizo Plains. We went to Carrizo Plains one time, and like it was late at night, and we couldn't find a camp spot. The original mapped camp spot was taken. So we didn't really have a plan B because it was already past midnight. So we were all driving around, us and our friends that we were with. And like, one, we were all tired. Two, it was late. We've been driving all day. So like there were a couple hotheads in our group, like just kind of back and forth, like, no, you find it. No, you find it. Do we go home? Whatever. Right. And me as a passenger, like, I'm like, what are you guys fighting about? Let me, like, I grabbed Johnny's phone and looked through his map. Or did I grab my phone? I think I grabbed my phone and I zoomed in the map because I was like, are you guys looking for a camp spot? And I zoomed in. I'm like, this looks like a good camp spot. It's only 10 minutes away. Let's try that. And what happens? It was an open camp spot. I literally saved that night, right? I saved the night because when you're tired driving all day and you just can't, calm down for 1 second and decide, to make good decisions. Like you can't just like take a deep breath. And like, it was just like such a, such a high stress situation because everyone was so tired. And like, I was tired too, but I wasn't driving all day. So comparable to you and the other guys, I had a little bit more energy. So yeah, I ended up taking the map myself and I zoomed in and I saw a little open circle of dirt on top of a hill, and I saw a little tiny fire pit, and I was like, this is a camp spot.
And it turns out to be a really good camp spot.
Yeah, and we actually really liked that area. The dogs loved it. We ended up staying till around noon the next day. We didn't really leave that early. Yeah, but overlanding is not easy. That's why it's not for everyone. But if you stop to take the time to research and if you don't have a rig to build or the funds to do it, you don't really need it. You can just do it with whatever vehicle you got. Just know that, there's going to be places that are limited, but then to really get to really cool spots too, you're going to need a little bit more. But yeah, people overland in Priuses all the time. We've seen sedans out there.
Yeah, sedans,
even on
vans.
even in places that you think you need 4x4, but there was a sedan in there.
Yeah, some people don't care.
Some people don't care. Yeah, some people don't care that they destroy their car, or maybe they're really good at driving. We don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you think? What are like the top tips you would think people would want to hear from someone that's experienced? Not experienced, like you're not an expert, but you're somewhat more experienced than the average person, right? What would be maybe like your top 5 advice tips that you can tell someone like me who knows nothing but want to get out there?
I think my number 1 tip would be always carry recovery gear. Doesn't matter what car you drive, you should always have, a shovel. I think a shovel can get you out of a lot of things. Because let's say you're high centered where the bottom of your car is turtling on top of a boulder or a rut, you can
That's
dig.
like teeter-tottering on something.
So you can either, try to dig your way out or dig holes and stack rocks and stuff like that so you can drive out. Number 2 is I always usually pack more than what my trip is planned for. So for example, if I'm going out for 2 days, I usually pack for 3 days or 4 days, just in case something does happen.
So pack more like clothes, food, and water.
Food and water.
Oh, clothes. Maybe always pack winter and summer clothes just in case. You never know.
Yeah, I always pack warm clothes in my car, anyways, even though it's in the summer, because weather in the mountains and the desert changed drastically.
I remember going out to the mountains and it was hot summer day. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna be hot. We don't need no jacket. And what happens? It dropped down to like 65, and we were all in a t-shirt.
Yeah, super cold, but it was a fun night though.
Definitely have base layer and a winter jacket as a backup.
And then before you go on any trip, always let someone know where you're going to, because I've been hearing stories of people
getting lost.
getting lost and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
no
it's
one knows
scary.
their whereabouts. Like,
Yeah.
how? I mean, not how. I shouldn't be able to judge. There's people out there who don't have anybody. That's why I feel like joining a Facebook group is great, because you can make so many friends just online, and you can just tell somebody there, like, hey, you can find a support group through Facebook, and like, there's so many good people out there that they are willing to just be accountable for your whereabouts if you want to go solo somewhere. I would be that person. If someone came to me and said, hey, you don't know me, but I'm thinking about doing this solo, and I'm going to go here just in case. And then, maybe we can become friends. I have so many Instagram friends, and if they came to me and said, hey, I don't have anyone to account for, I'm going here solo, do you mind keeping track? And I don't mind that.
And then my biggest tip is either go on the National Forest website and find out details of the area that you're going to go be that you're going to visit, or just call the ranger station. They will tell you what the trail condition is, or if it's closed, if there's any fire restrictions. Those are all helpful information before you plan to go to that area.
I feel like during COVID, though, those stuff wasn't updated a lot.
It was a little iffy. The website was kind of iffy, but then if you called the ranger station,
I remember we called the ranger station for Maple Springs. Was it Maple Springs?
No, we called the ranger station for Carrizo Plains, and they told me it was open, but on the website it says closed.
Oh yeah. Okay, but there was also another incident that we went to Maple Springs that it was closed because of the rain, but it wasn't raining. It rained like the day before or something, but the gate was closed.
Yeah, they usually close it.
And then usually they close it during rain, but it wasn't raining. And then we called the ranger station. They said, oh yeah, we closed it because of the weather, because maybe there was rain in the forecast or something.
Yeah.
So calling for sure will get you an updated, because the rangers, they drive out there to check on the conditions regularly. Websites might not be current, but they should be updating it a little bit more now that COVID's kind of like not as bad as it was last summer.
I can get into more depth in this later in our other episodes on how I plan trips from like beginning to the end.
Yeah, if you guys have specific questions about anything, please DM us. We can address it directly in another episode. Then we can actually go into detail of explaining whatever question and answer whatever question you have. This episode was just more of a dip into the beginning of overlanding. I mean, overlanding, like if you don't know what overlanding is basically what, like traveling over
land.
Literally, it's traveling over land with your own resources. So if you think about back in the day, people got around on foot and with carriages and horses. That kind of grew to vehicles being built out to kind of carry all that stuff, and then these vehicles need to have all this recovery gear, because sometimes they travel over like crazy terrain that they need to deliver, let's say, mail or medication or whatever that they couldn't do now, right? Like before trains, before airplanes, before all that.
Well, mostly they did it on horses. So
yeah,
a lot of these roads that we traveled on had history.
Yeah, that's why you always see maybe like old mines.
Yep. And it's cool to be out
old cabins, old homes. Yeah, these trails used to be used by horses and carriages, and then these roads are still maintained through BLM, public land, because there's no development on it. Yeah, I mean, like we like road tripping too, but I think overlanding just is more self-fulfilling, because we travel with whatever we can bring with us, and we self-rely on our skills and our knowledge. And I feel like that makes me a better person, instead of, oh yeah, let's go to this hotel and visit this cool place. Like, yeah, that's cool too, it's relaxing, whatever, but I feel like if I don't get something out of it that I can learn and be self-sufficient, like it's not fulfilling as much That's just pure fun. If I just go travel and stay in a hotel, like that's just fun and relaxing. But when I go out and do the dirty stuff and get my hands on things and learn something, maybe build a fire with my own bare hands with 2 sticks, like that's more fulfilling to me. And it gives me more purpose in life because I actually learned that instead of buying a lighter from a liquor store and.
And it's not about the destination to me. It's about the journey. So all the stuff that comes in between to get to that destination.
So cliche and cheesy.
What?
It's all about the journey.
It's
It is
true.
about the journey, but I mean, yeah, so overlanding is about the journey. Like you do have a destination, but it doesn't matter how soon or how far or how long. It's what route you decide to take, the epitome of life. It depends on what decision you make that matters, because you can decide to do one thing, but then you can change that course along the journey. You still have the same ending, but you will never know what the ending is. You do different things to work up to that ending.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have a destination for overlanding, but honestly, the places that we decide to go to is just a spot, like a pinpoint on our journey. It's not the end.
And most of the time, those spots that we want to go to is either closed or someone's taking it. So we have to go find another route to go.
Right. Yeah. Someone's always going to be there. So we have to change courses literally every single time. But yeah, it's literally the journey that makes it more fun because we get to do it together. We get to bring the dogs with us. We get to document it and share it with people. And people love seeing it. There's people out there who sit in an office and they can't get away from work and they wish they had our lifestyle to be able to get out there with our dogs. And trust me, it wasn't easy to get away from our work life. It was a very long transition, but I'm glad we did it.
So to those people who are stuck in the office, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Canine Overland or the Canine Explorers.
Live vicariously through us. Give us purpose. I mean, we love sharing all this stuff too. It makes me happy to see our dogs happy and to make people happy. People DM me all the time and say, "I want your life." And I'm very privileged. Like I feel very privileged to have this life, and I won't say it was easy, but it is, because I have a great support system. I have you to help introduce all this stuff, all these new terms and car stuff to me. I have my family that backs me up and that helped me through my job layoff, and to start my own businesses. So. Yeah, I mean that is life. There's people out there who have it harder than others, but that's why, like, overlanding to me, it brings community. Like we as people share our experiences, so maybe it can help somebody. I mean, we're always willing to help people. I don't think we've ever turned away anyone that asked us for help.
No, never.
Yeah. If you have questions about overlanding or what kind of vehicle you want, or have an idea of what kind of vehicle you want, don't be afraid to DM Johnny. Not me, because I can't help you, but DM Johnny. He has all the time in the world right now because he's sitting at home with an injured arm, so he can help. He can help and kind of chat with you to get you started. We're not going to turn you away, but there's certain things that require a little bit more effort, and that's where our coffee page comes in. So you can send us a coffee to help us out, just kind of not as a reward, but just a thank you, or just to support us or send love. But yeah, we're always willing to help. DM us anytime, night or day.
I'll be there to answer your questions.
Unless we're out of reception because we're camping, then we'll get to it once we're back in town. But yeah, thank you for listening to this episode. We got to dip a little bit into the overlanding side of things, chat about our builds. Yeah, if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, let us know. We're running out of ideas because, weekly episodes it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, because we have busy lives, but we try so hard to get it in. But yeah, give us some topics. If you want to appear in one of our episodes in the future, let us know too, because we would love to interview anybody that wants to chat about their side of things, maybe their build, their cars. I don't know. I'm looking at Johnny right now and like shooting out brainstorming stuff for our future episodes, and he's just nodding his head.
Those are all good ideas.
Good ideas, right? We we're open to feedback. So let us know anything and everything that's on your mind. But yeah, thank you guys again. We love you. Follow us on social medias. Johnny's Canine Overland. I am the Canine Explorers. I don't plan on making an Instagram for my car, only because we just have too many accounts right now. So my car will kind of cameo in both our accounts. But yeah, follow us on Instagram. You have our coffee page. But all those links are on our Instagram if you ever get lost. But yeah, okay. I think this is it. This is the Canine Overland podcast, and we will catch you in the next episode.
Bye.
Goodbye.